They will. Good morning to everyone wherever you are. Welcome to another episode of Cheesem Live. It is my hope that everyone is doing well wherever you are, that Chineke is blessing you. The fact that you saw another day is a good reason to celebrate and be grateful. Today is a special day because this is the month of Imumiri. It's a special month. It's a time of male energy. Male energy. We should all be celebrating our manhood, your manhood in this case. And it is before I get started. Let me bring in my but there he is. Okay, my co-host. I want to add him. There you go. Okay, Dibia.
Hey, Imai,
In my
no,
way,
no.
what a what a show we're going to have today.
Oh,
And uh,
it's deep.
and I think it's appropriate that we have it today. Excuse
Yeah.
me, I'm trying to get myself in order here. I think it's appropriate that we have this conversation today because
Mm-hmm.
cannot talk about what's going on now in other people's world, and
Yeah.
we don't talk about what's going on in our world. And
I
I
will.
tell you
Yes.
one thing, this is a very, very critical topic, and that is the question of the Fulani herdsmen and certainly Boko Haram. Are they the same thing? We don't know. We're going to talk about that. And it is my hope that everyone that's listening to this show will contribute, because it is such a difficult for me, even because I've seen some of the videos that are coming from Nigeria about what's going on. So it's difficult to talk about it, but we're going to need other people to join in this conversation. So those of you who are on this call, feel free. If you know what's going on in Nigeria and you want to add to the conversation, please feel free to do so. Before, just to remind you that if you wish to get in touch with us, contact us at 248-773-1857. You can email us at chismlive@gmail.com and certainly visit our website. Got lots of information there for you. And if you want to visit our Facebook page, as I see some of you are doing already, Global Faith Ministries of Chiism. And we have just started the WhatsApp Chiism hotline for spiritual discussions, because I get a lot of people who call me and they want me to talk to them about African spirituality. And if they're members of Chiism movement of believers, that's where they go. So anybody who wants to be added to that, certainly feel free. We also are visible on Chiism of Africa Instagram. So don't hesitate to join us there. Since today is, okay, Dibia,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to add this announcement. Please look, I'm going to post very soon the cheese service on the
Yes.
28th.
Yes. Very
Oh,
important.
that is
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
a
Looking
beautiful
forward to it.
service because it's the OTRA, Organization of Traditional Religions. We're going to have all the religions that are going to join us. We're going to have a Fa religion. We're going to have other spiritualists, of course, Chiism. We're going to have Rastafarian priests. I mean, so it's going to be inclusive, just so that all of us, all the spiritualists from the Black world, come together and pray for Africa. Yeah, let's pump up
Yeah.
the spirits of the ancestors to join us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a very important event on the 28th, same time, 10 a.m. So do not miss that. Today is the month of Imomiri. As I said earlier, it's masculine energy. Chineke's energy of Chi is very high today.
Yes.
And I wrote a little nugget that I posted on Facebook today. I just want to share that. If you are male, Ibroni come. Our men need to understand. Ikum, that's power. That's
Oh
power.
yes.
Ibroni
Eziokwu.
come. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
embrace your power, and use it to hold up the community, our community. That's your power. That's your job. Build, build, build. Teach the young how to build. Let them look up to you. Look to yourself for the solutions of the nation. Nobody can solve it. Oh, no, come. You are the men. And this month, the energy is male. Come out of the dark corners of fear and behold who you are. Mandingo, stand up. Kulia, Kulia, this is your world. This is your charge. This is your month. Do what you must do. And all my sisters out there, if you're a female, give voice to the wounded lion that he may do his work. Praise him, support him. You are charged with the power to embolden, teach, and set the course for the future warrior. That is our job. Lift up, don't demean, build up. Give them the support they need to do what they must do. This is the month of Imumiri. Okay,
yeah. And most importantly, because I think it's lacking, have courage.
Courage. The children are watching. If
have
they don't
courage.
see it, yes.
Be courageous.
Yes. And what does that mean? To be courageous is to acknowledge the power of Chineke in you. You know, how can you be weak if Chineke is all powerful and we say you are the temple?
Yeah.
So you are the temple.
I walk with the Almighty Chineke.
The power of Almighty Chineke. And this is your month to let it shine.
You say,
let it shine.
You say,
be all that you can be. Chineke is watching you and letting it all spill out of you. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Be all that you can be.
Yes.
And so it is.
Huh?
Yes, my brother. With all of that goodness in the air, unfortunately, this is a sad time in Nigeria.
It is.
Civil war is brewing. Civil war is brewing. For those of us who went through the Civil War, the Nigerian Biafran War, it is a scary thing. You know, some people who advocate war, having been through war. War is not pretty. War is ugly. And I remember war. And to see it rearing its ugly head again is traumatizing.
It is.
Think about what it's going to do for generations of young Nigerians. Again.
Man, that was 3 years of hell.
That was 3 years of hell.
Wow.
And here we go again.
Yeah.
Here we go again. I want to play a video that what is being shared around about what's going on and the fact that the Senate in Nigeria is recognizing that they cannot ignore this. And then I'll share videos of actually people taking the law into their own hands. You see, when you're desperate, you do what you must do to survive. But this must not be what we should do. So let me share the comments made by a senator in Nigeria.
Mr. President, let me give you a deputy Senate leader for bringing this motion up at this time. Mr. President, like my colleagues have said, we have a national crisis on our hands. And it's a national crisis that has been devoid of leadership, both politically and morally. And we must say it the way it is. We must say it the way it is. Mr. President, let me give you a little statistics. Between 2017 and May 2020, there have been 654 attacks, 2,539 killed, 393 wounded, 253 kidnapped, 16 raped, 7,582 homes destroyed. That is an analysis that has been done by a research firm that is based in Brussels on what has happened in this country. And I listen to us here. For us to be saying that they're not Nigerians, it's an indictment on our leadership. That people are coming into this country, they are maiming our people, they are killing our people, they are raping our people, and we are saying they are not Nigerian. And yet these are the same security people that we are now going to promote to be ambassadors of this country, representing this country. It's an indictment, and it's not acceptable. I represent a border community that's bordering some neighboring towns, neighboring countries. I went there over the weekend. The whole place has been destroyed by all these herdsmen. People's earnings, people's lives has been destroyed. People that are taking all these cattle away, they are doing it as a business. And these people, their own lives are being destroyed because somebody else's business, they say they are trying to feed their cows. It is upsetting. And we must rise up to this occasion. This country is at the precipice of a civil war or even falling apart, of a failed state. So, Mr. President, I rise that the president needs to speak and calm the nation and talk to the nation. I mean, Mr. President, here we are. We just looking at what has just recently happened in America now. In 1 month, the president has passed over 30 executive orders. The president can pass an executive order banning open grazing, banning the criminality of carrying ammunition. Guns and AK-47s when you are going. Enumerate all these herdsmen. There are actions that he can take immediately, but nothing is being done. I so rest my case.
Well,
that's painful to listen to.
What does that tell you about, what our government is doing?
It tells me the government is not doing anything. Here, listening to the senator speak, when he talked about the fact that the leadership is always coming up with the excuse that these are not Nigerians, and that it is an indictment on the government itself. You would at least think that if the government recognizes that most of these people are not Nigerians, they would at least try to close the borders, right? As he mentioned, give an write an executive order, sign an executive order that bans any, how do you say, a cross-border commerce or infiltration, whatever it is, where for you to be able to cross into Nigeria, you have to make sure that you have the right papers. You have to make sure that you're doing it according to the law and they're just not sneaking in. And if you're found to be sneaking in, you'll be repatriated or put in jail. You have to have such measures. The first thing you want to do is protect your borders. So if the federal government come up with an excuse that these people are not Nigerians, the first thing you do is close the borders. But unfortunately, it'll be hard for anybody to convince me that the federal government is really trying to do anything, to stop this, because they look at this problem as something that is affecting those people, the citizen. And at this point, what's shocking to me is normally, because most of Nigerian leaders come from the north, those in important positions are northerners. The sad thing now, or the scariest thing now, is they don't really care if those people in the north are being affected. They just don't care about that stuff. It's the oligarchs, those in power, against everybody else, us against them. And that's what really kind of gets to me. I just really don't understand it. This is the same kind of problem that a lot of countries in Africa have. I mean, the same thing is going on in Sudan. Somalia became a failed state. I think Ethiopia is now having some problems. Same thing is happening in Uganda. You have things, same thing happening in DRC, in the Congos. Liberia had a civil war. We had a civil war. Sierra Leone, the same thing. I mean, it's just all over Africa. And it just lets you understand the fact that if you have a government that is inept, if you have a government that is not taking care of the economic needs of its citizens, if you have a government that doesn't make its citizens feel that they have a stake in the country, as an Igbo man, I think for me to call myself a Nigerian and be proud of my citizenship, I think that if I was to go to Kano and live there for maybe 5-7 years, depending on what the law says, I should, as an Igbo man, be able to run for Senate seat I represent Kano because I'm a Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian first before I talk about what state I come from. It would be nice from somebody who is from Sokoto to go to Abia State, live there for so many years, based on whatever the criteria of the law is in terms of running for office. And that person should be able to run for office regardless of whether they're Muslim, Christian, or from Sokoto. But you don't have that kind of stuff in Nigeria. There's no sense of nationalism, so to speak. Since the Civil War, we haven't seemed to have anything that we all feel that we have in common. You know, when we were fighting the British, and this is true about Africa, when we had somebody or an external threat, when we had somebody that we were fighting because they got their foot on our neck, we were all united. But as soon as we got independence or any sliver of freedom, all of a sudden, tribalism and religious, your whatever your religious affiliation may be, comes into play. The sad thing is that being independent did nothing to give us any kind of sense of nationalism, because at the end of the day, Nigeria is just a British experiment. We just totally have nothing in common, you know, with those the Muslims up north and the Christian South, but here we are as one country. So if we are one country and we're divided by ethnicity and religion, if we truly believe that we're one nation, then those things shouldn't matter. Maybe it's human nature, I don't know, because if you look at a lot of other countries, those things always seem to matter. Here in the United States, you're black, white, Mexican, whatever, whatever. Well, it's tribalism over here. There you're Christian, you're Muslim, blah, 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 blah. One group is always turning against another group. One group always feels dissatisfied. You know, the funny thing about democracy is at the end, it breeds tyranny. You have people with too many rights making too many demands on the system for this right, animal right, dog right, you know, Plato's Republic, go and read it. At the end of the day, here comes somebody who says, I can help you solve your issues. I can articulate your collective frustration. So you pick on one disgruntled group, especially if that disgruntled group is in the majority, and you stoke their fear and stoke their anger. You get yourself into power, you become a tyrant. Hitler did it, stoked the anger against the Jews, and now we have World War II. 60 million people dead, 6 million Jews died. Same thing in Nigeria. The Hausas felt marginalized in Nigeria because of Awolowo. Awolowo was thrown in jail, and Akintola became the prime minister in the West, formed his own government. Unfortunately, most of the military people that did the coup in Nigeria were really all Yorubas from the West. But Nzogo was an Igbo man. They blamed the Igbo people as those that caused the coup. And next thing you know, Gowon, through the help of the oligarchs in the North, brought Awolowo out of jail. And Awolowo, because the Yoruba land, you know, they have control of the media and all that kind of stuff, and they were good with banking and all that kind of stuff. Awolowo came out of jail and formed a partnership with the Gowon, and the rest is history. So you have a country where, you know, let me just give a little history here with the Boko Haram and then the Fulani Herdsmen, so that we get to understand that what's going on in Nigeria is not just about tribal conflict, but really about the ineptitude of our leadership and how we go about trying to resolve issues. Boko Haram in the north started in 2002, or was formed in 2002, and some character, Yusuf, was their leader. And the reason why Boko Haram came into being was the fact that they were against the corruption in Nigeria. That was the initial reason why Boko Haram came into being. Then they went to war with the federal government, who didn't like being criticized by this group. They arrested the leader. Over 800 people died. They arrested Yusuf, murdered him, and murdered a lot of people that may or may not have been part of Boko Haram. In 2009, Sakao, or whatever his name is, took over and then adopted violence as a way to counter the violence being heaped upon them, and the rest is history, and all hell broke loose. They decided they were going to create their own caliphate, take over a portion of Nigeria, and create whatever it is they want to create up there and rule themselves, and have nothing to do with anything that comes out of the West, and have their own little caliphate up there. That's how that started. And it was because of the ineptitude and the violence of federal government of Nigeria, where every citizen has the right to complain about the ineptitude in the country. And you don't have to shut them up through violence. And if they are good with their criticism and they're very well organized, they could get you out of political office. In Nigeria, we have this facade of democracy, which to me, Nigeria is not really a democratic society, because when you criticize the government, they will come after you. And that's just the way it is. So until freedom of press is actually, recognized, and the criticism of the government is recognized as part of a democratic system, we're always going to have that kind of problem. But that's how Boko Haram started. And then, just one more thing. The Fulani Herdsmen, you remember when we were kids, we will be driving in the street, and then you see the cattle rearers. You just park your car, and the cattle rearers come and they pass, and you move on your own way. There's cattle dung all over the place. That was about the only inconvenience that we felt about it. They didn't have any guns. They had their little bow and arrows and all that. The deteriorating environmental conditions up in the north, right? The desertification. Everything is turning into desert, soil degradation, and all that stuff really spawned, this upward surge in the herdsmen coming down to the south. But the sad thing about it is that because of the open border policy that we had in Nigeria,
yes,
you understand, because of the open border policy, now you got Fulanis coming from outside Nigeria into Nigeria.
And those Fulanese are coming from countries, surrounding neighboring countries, that are letting them go, removing them from their citizenry. So why did we open the door to them?
Because now, I don't want to make a direct criticism of the federal government, right? To make a direct criticism of the tribal affiliation of the leadership in Nigeria. But it just seems to me that, during the presidential election, most people in the Southeast did not vote for, the present leadership that we have right now. You understand? And there was this understanding or statement that only those people that voted for the leadership were going to partake in this, economic pot in Nigeria. And those that didn't vote for the leadership were going to suffer its scorn. And to me, this was just a welcomed situation to destabilize the South by having these people come all the way down here, right? To keep us all, just economically messed up, destitutes everywhere. You cannot have a good, cohesive economic growth in any part of the country, or in any part of any country, if you don't have peace, right? The first ingredient in economic development is security. And if you don't have that, you cannot develop. I mean, getting in the car and driving to a Owerri, the first thing you're thinking about is, are you going to run into armed robbers on the road? Are you going to run into bandits? What situation creates the bandits that we're running from, if it is not the ineptitude of the government? You see, so if you want to deal with the kind of crisis that we have right now, first you have to have a government that can provide security, as opposed to using the destabilization to carry its own, to further its own political objective, whatever those objectives may be. But I know that it's not positive. And the sad thing about it is, when Ahai says you cannot hold the people at gunpoint that don't want to be held anymore. At some point, if you push me and push me to the wall and then try to push me through it, I'm going to come out swinging.
And speaking of which, I just want to read something right quick, written by Humphrey Ndibe. The government of the day is complicit in the killing of indigenous people. The National Army has always been on the side of Fulani herdsmen anywhere you find skirmishes in Nigeria.
Exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, why is that?
That's what I'm saying. There's first of all, there's a political objective, right? And that political objective is the marginalization of the people that the federal government felt didn't vote for them in the last election. Let me tell you something. What if all the Igbos had voted for Buhari in the last election? Do you think we'll be worrying about what we're worrying about right now? If we had given him our unwilling support, we won't be worrying about what we're worrying about right now. This is payback, as far as I'm concerned. And in Nigerian history, there's always been this thing about the fact they're going to dip the Quran in the South. The only way for you to dip the Quran in the South is to marginalize the South. And if possible, genocide. It happens. It's happening right now. We had a Biafran Nigerian war. It was going on then. So this is nothing new. It's not a secret. You have 3 major tribes in Nigeria: Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. None of the tribes feels that the other has a right to claim access to the same resources as the tribe that is in power right now. And the tribe that is in power are those in the north. When was the last time an Igbo man became head of state in Nigeria? When was the last time a Yoruba person became head of state in Nigeria? Obasanjo was. He was both a military leader and also civilian leader. They have ruled Nigeria. Apart from Nnamdi Azikiwe and the brief reign of 6 months or so of Agoyi Ironsi. Since the war ended, the Yorubas have had several turns at leadership in Nigeria. The Igbos haven't. Why is that?
Well, let me share this video, Dibia, because it is imperative that people see what is happening when the government is not taking action. And this is the time that they've got to intervene. It's getting out of hand.
We are doing the wonderful work. We are here to say to the Fulanis the way they like. If anybody comes for this challenge, must go to heaven immediately. We are here to do our work. Eastern Security Network. Eastern Security Network. Put him! Push it down! Take him! Take him! Take him! Take them now! Take them now! Push it! Take them one by one! Get them now! Get him! Get him! Get them one by one! Push it up! The Eastern Security Network in Ebonyi. We are here to do the needful. We are here to set them on blaze. Fulani must get out from this land.
That is something else.
This is really very sad. Sad to me because, quite frankly, a life is a life. The Fulanese should not be killing people in the southeast, and we shouldn't be killing the Fulanese either. However, because of the lack of input from government, people are now taking matters into their own hands. I have seen some visuals that are so disheartening. I can't show those. I can't even begin to show those. It's too drastic, and it's not. It's so unholy. The whole thing is so unholy to watch. But then, listen. Here's the thing. These people are losing their land. They are losing their land to these Fulani herdsmen. Now, my question is, are these Fulani herdsmen doing what they're doing because of support by the federal government or lack of support? Do they not? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they cannot graze up north, right? Because nothing is set up for them there, for their animals, and they feel that the Southeast has all this land. Is that why they're coming? But then I always think that if you don't have a means to do something, then be creative. Create it. You
Well,
don't have to go to other people's land and start, massacring them.
when was the last time anybody from the North was creative about anything? And I'm not trying to sound, prejudicial or anything like that. It's just a fact. It's just the way it is. Listen, there's so many parts to this whole thing. Number one, as a Nigerian, right? If we have any sense of nationalism and feel that we belong together, as a Nigerian, Fulani herdsmen have a right to go anywhere and do anything, if that is the criteria, a sense of nationalism. Igbo people have a right to go up north and do anything they want to. That is their right to do it. A sense of nationalism. Unfortunately, when things come down in Nigeria, the first people that get it are Igbo people up north. Fulanis have never been attacked or marginalized in the South. It's just a question of them coming to the South, bringing something other than the cattle business. And even if they brought the cattle business, there's nothing wrong with that. It is still business. We consume a lot of their meat. The problem is, number one, the government don't put resources where they're supposed to put it, because most of that resources has gone into their pockets. So there's not enough money for them to do anything, because in Nigeria, you always wait for the federal government to do something. Nigeria is a capitalistic state. So anybody with any sense of business adventure should be able to come up with a business up north that will deal with this particular issue, in terms of feeding cattle and all that, and becoming a rancher and having the means to be able to create pastures up north where these cattle can graze. Unfortunately, they don't see that part of the business, or they don't see that as something that is worth their time. They'll rather come all the way to the south and graze and destroy farmland. And sometimes even places where there's no farm, they just come in there anyway and rape the women and do whatever it is they want to do, because for the most part, a lot of them are not from Nigeria. So they don't feel any sense of responsibility, right, to the well-being or welfare of the citizens of Nigeria, because they're coming from without. So somebody coming in from Chad, it doesn't care what they do in Nigeria. We used to live with these herdsmen when I was growing up in Nigeria, and we didn't worry about them raping anybody like they're doing right now. They didn't have any AK-47s. They do have AK-47s right now. How did they get the weapon? Who supplies it to them? Somebody with an ulterior motive is supplying them with the weapons that they're using to terrorize the people in the South, or those in Oyo and people in the West. Somebody's paying for that stuff. So this is not just about the Fulani herdsmen. It's also about those people that provide them with the arms. Although I have seen some arms that these Fulani herdsmen use that were locally manufactured by them. They are not semi-automatic weapons. You could see that somebody put together whatever, and they were able to develop guns that they use to terrorize people. When you're traveling, you're harassed. If I'm traveling and I have goods, or I'm traveling with my family or whatever, and I'm afraid of Fulani herdsmen, more than likely, I'm not going to go anywhere. We all can catch a flight to do business. More than likely, I'm not going to transport my goods from my environment to another environment to sell it, because I'm afraid that I'm going to run into these cats. We've adopted the United States system of government, the presidency, vice presidency, the Senate, the House of Assembly, governor, state assembly, and all that. But what we fail to adopt is how they keep law and order in America. In the United States, every town has its own police chief or its own police department. Every city has its own police department. Every county has their police department. Every state has its own police department. And then the federal federal law enforcement is the FBI. There you have the Department of Homeland Security. In Africa, law enforcement is national. If there's any problem, incursion of Fulani herdsmen in the south, you depend on the federal government to come and help you, as opposed to calling on the local police or the state police to come and help you without the auspices of the federal government. These law agencies should be independent of one another and paid for by state taxes or county taxes or city taxes. So one thing is for us to talk about, the American system of government, but then we don't want to adopt those things that they do to keep law and order. If you're going to go foreign, go all the way and be good at it and act it as they are. Be honest with it as they are. There's corruption everywhere in the world. In any government, there's corruption. But at least there's a semblance that the government cares for the people. At least you're able to create some kind of infrastructure that promotes commerce, electricity, good roads, telephone service, water supply, those basic things that you need to develop a healthy economy. You have to have those. If you have a government that is able to provide these, infrastructural needs for a country, what you're going to do is you're going to reduce violence. You're going to reduce, groups that are, that feel frustrated and not for them to take up arms and then try to do something for themselves. We have a right in Eastern Nigeria or in Oyo or wherever else that we are in Nigeria, in Meduguri or in Sokoto, wherever these herdsmen are coming, we have a right to protect ourselves because the federal government is not doing it. They don't see that as their responsibility. They rather tell you, well, those people are not Nigerians. And if those people are not Nigerians, what are you doing to keep them from coming into the country? And why is it that when the local people complain to the police that these Fulani herdsmen are over here raping and killing and destroying the farmland, why is it that the police takes sides with the Fulani herdsmen? That tells one story and one story alone. The herdsmen are not working independently. The federal government in Nigeria is in support of what's going on because they want to destabilize the middle belt and the southeast and southwest so that they can pretty much take over the country and establish their Islamic country or whatever it is they want to do.
That's
my take.
True. I read something where an individual was kind of confused because the Fulani herdsmen seem to know the terrain better than the farmers.
Yeah.
How can that be? How is it that we, the farmers in the East, don't know their terrain better? Why is it that it's a surprise to them when these people come? They need to know, and I am not advocate. I just want to make this clear. I've been through a war, so I'm not advocating that. But I also know that the people in the East cannot be expected to allow the desecration of their land, their livelihood. If they are fighting the Fulanis, then the government must understand they're not going to stop. And you cannot expect them not to fight for what they believe in, for their fight for their land, for their livelihood. You have to expect that. There will be no peace if you don't design a peaceful means of ending this tragedy. Don't allow the war to happen because it's going to happen. People will not sit back and watch themselves be massacred, their livelihood stolen, their children killed. This is what's happening. Religion, in this case, is also being used as a means of allowing this to go on.
Yep.
The Christian South, the Islamic North, right? They just don't see eye to eye.
Yep.
Now, you understand? So this, if you don't believe it my way, then you don't deserve to live. I was watching a video and that was very disturbing because they were really they were hurting. I don't want to be too graphic, but it is a graphic thing. They were hurting these Fulani herdsmen. And their anger was because they were Fulani and they are Muslim. That alone, in addition to all the other reasons, brings out the worst in the Igbos, and
Anger.
vice versa. The
Yeah.
violence
A lot of
is
anger.
also, it's a lot of anger, and the government, like the senator was saying, must do something. Let me share with you another video here. Look at, you talk about burning. Now this is what the herdsmen are doing.
See war for the jar. See everywhere. See war
You
everywhere
see
don't
that?
turn blue. See
Look
war.
at that.
See war. Charge the Mama you enjoy trailer. Hey, I was at it down on the lane. Jesus Christ. Let's save Nigeria.
They're setting everything on fire. What is the purpose of that?
Listen, like I said, there are people that, how do I say, that benefit from this kind of chaos. Is good for their business, whatever that business may be, either financial or political. Let me make a statement that is a little controversial, and if you push me on it, I will go into a little bit more detail, but I hope you don't. But I'm ready if you do. The oppressor usually is successful because he has support among the oppressed. Let me say it again. The oppressor usually is successful because they have support among the oppressed. In Igbo land, we have plenty of so-called oppressed people who are usually part of our leadership that is in bed with those people that are causing this chaos. I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure that the audience can put two and two together to understand that there are people in the East, people in the West that are in line with people in the North to suppress their own people. Without that support, it will be difficult for those in the South, for those in the North, to push as far down as they have in all these different areas, knowing the terrain, knowing where to set up camps. If they just came in from Chad, somebody must be telling them something. There's a scout somewhere who scopes the place out for them and then tells them where the danger lies and where the danger doesn't lie. There is no sense of nationalism in Nigeria and in a lot of countries. We all just don't feel that we have the same stake, that the opportunity is equal in our countries. We are British experiments. We are French experiments, Portuguese experiments. That's just the way it is in Africa. We have nations built on nothing but everything foreign. There is no country in Africa that is built on anything that is primordial to African thinking. Nothing. Islam came a long time ago, over 1,000 years. We had Timbuktu before we had everything. And when you talk about African history, you always talk about Timbuktu. You talk about the Islamic University. It's the oldest university in the world. But it's an Islamic university. It's not teaching anything about Igbo people. It's not teaching anything about Yoruba. It's not even teaching anything about Hausa or Fulani. It's teaching everything Islamic. You cannot build a castle on sand. Nigeria is a castle built on sand, and it will soon crumble. It will crumble. And when it crumbles, perhaps we can now build it back up again on a rock, either as one unified country or as three separate countries that speak three major languages in different dialects: Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. It's a choice we have to make. But this glue that put us together, the British and the French and all of that, we're going to have to unglue ourselves and put ourselves back together again based on our own glue, based on what it is that we have in common with one another. There has to be a sense of commonality, a sense of a citizenship, that we're all in this thing together. that we can benefit with our by our relationship with one another. Hausa people can benefit with their relationship with Igbo people, vice versa, Yoruba, vice versa. If that is not in our psyche, then we need to split Nigeria into 3 so that we don't have Fulani herdsmen coming all the way to the south. Next time they come to the south, they'll be coming into another country. Their border in the south will just not be a state border. It will be a border of you coming into another country. And without our permission, you can't come in there. We don't need the federal government in Nigeria to do anything. Same thing with the Yorubas. Same thing with the Africans. The Igbo people are never going to go up and to the north to take over anything or spread their Christianity or whatever religion they advocate over there. We've never done that. We have businesses up north. A lot of businesses up north and in the west is owned by Igbo people. The economy of the west was built by Igbos. We own more businesses there than any other tribe. We can benefit from one another, but we have to have a sense of nationalism and decide on what we're going to do with that country or experiment out Nigeria. Because right now, it is not working. It's not working for the outside people. Poverty up north is like 90% of the people up north are poor. They got children running around in the street with no parents, no schooling. Nobody's going to school over there. Down south, a lot of the schools have been destroyed. A lot of the good schools that you see are not sponsored by the government, but are sponsored by citizens, by alumni of these high schools that put money together to rebuild these high schools and make them look like schools. If you leave it up to the government, we went to Nigeria in 2018. We drove from Port Harcourt to Omaha. How many schools did you see on the road there that looked like a school? Everything was dilapidated. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is not the same country I left. Only private citizens fix things over there. The government in Nigeria, from the federal and local level, do nothing. We have to make a decision. We're either one country or we are not. Otherwise, we're going to always perpetually remain destabilized. If we don't see anything in common with those up north, if those up north don't see anything in common with those in the west, and the people in the west don't see anything in common with those in the east, then why are we one country? Why?
And people, I think that the citizenry should not expect the government to do everything.
No, they can't. They got to do it themselves sometimes.
You've got to hold these conversations. You've got to. I mean, recently I saw something that I don't know if you saw it as well. We had people in the streets praying for Donald Trump. Hear what I'm saying? Marching in the streets
in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, praying for Donald Trump
while Rome is burning.
While Rome is burning. If we want to take to the streets, then let it be about holding our own government accountable and asking for change within our own country to invest that much. And let me tell you, they had shirts with Donald Trump's picture. What is Donald Trump supposed to do for us? If we want to take to the streets, let's look at what's going on in Nigeria. Nigeria is a beautiful country. It's a beautiful place. It's rich. The people are kind. Most people who have visited Nigeria, sure, we have some issues here and there, but for the most part, they can tell you that Nigeria is a beautiful place. We can't afford for Nigeria to be torn apart. Now, that's the giant of Africa. Yep. We cannot afford for Nigeria to be torn apart again.
But the citizenship or citizenry, will have to take control of the country on a common premise that we all have to feel like we have a stake in that country, just like you were talking about. Nigeria is the giant of Africa. Well, we used to be the giant of Africa. Unfortunately, through successive inept governments, we were never able to diversify our economy, and a country with almost 200 million people still depending on oil and oil alone. If we had the Civil War ended over what? How many years ago did it end? What, 60 years? And in that time, Nigeria has never been able, with all the money Nigeria has made, as big as Nigerian economy is, supposedly the #1 economy in the world, we've never been able to develop an infrastructure. We could supply through the Cage Dam or whatever else we're doing, we could supply electricity to a whole bunch of other countries in Africa, but have never been able to sustain electricity in Nigeria. The roads are in a mess. The second Niger bridge, how long have we been building this bridge? A whole country can't build one bridge over a river. You got little towns in America building bridges bigger than the Niger River over Mississippi River. And we can build one bridge. What are the government or governors of eastern part of Nigeria doing? All 5 Igbo governors. What are they doing? They can't come together as one and chart a course for Igbo people. I personally think that the worst thing that ever happened to us in the East was the fact that we got 5 states. We should have remained East Central State.
Oh, we were powerful then, weren't we? Oh my goodness, we were so powerful.
We had no hand in it. The military governments in Nigeria were the ones that split the states up. There was no need to have 5 states, because what you did was, as opposed to having one government for Eastern Nigeria that may be inept and corrupt and all that, but you were at least dealing with one governor that was corrupt and eating money.
Now there's so many.
You were at least dealing with one permanent secretary that was eating money. You were at least dealing with one vice governor eating money. It was just one. Now you got 5 of everything.
The money earmarked for one part of the country. So you got 6 people.
Yeah.
Who
are just chopping left and right. The governor, and then after they get to eating, when they're satisfied, after being governor for 4 or 8 years, and they are full,
they become senators.
Then they become senators. And who votes for them?
And it continues.
It's a cesspool. And you see the Igbo people, when all Joseph Kano came out of jail, you see them go, oh my God, he's out of jail. The guy screwed you out of billions of naira, made himself rich from your money. And yet, when he was exonerated or whatever, you're over here dancing up and down as if his release was going to develop Igbo land. Then Kalu Oji came in and then ate the place to nonsense with his son and I mean, it's like the most, I won't be surprised, next thing you know, they'll split Abia State in 2. Now you're gonna have.
God, please don't. They're already.
Hey man, this is Nigeria.
We're already struggling over there. But you know what? So here's the thing. What do the Igbos do if the government? Now I understand that Ojos Okalo, not Ojos Okalo, Biafra.
Mazi Kano
has organized a military or paramilitary force.
Yeah.
But
Eastern security force or whatever.
Yeah. Well, my understanding, I don't know much about it, but my understanding is that the idea is to protect the Southeast from the infiltration into the community by So you've got, first of all, for that to be successful, first of all, we have to be clear why we're doing it. Okay, if you're trying to protect the Igbos and their way of life and their land and what have you, you must make that clear. And secondly, it is imperative that we have unity amongst the Igbos to start with. You don't fight. We may disagree with Ojos, with
Mazi
Kano. You certainly may not agree with his
politics or whatever.
But he is talking about something happening. In other words, Igbo people must unite to safeguard their land. That's what he's trying to do.
I'm into that. I understand that, and I think, like you just mentioned, that's what we're supposed to be thinking.
That's number one. That's number one. Create unity. Not against Nigeria. No. But unity amongst the Igbos to understand, okay, there's something on our land. We've got to protect the land. One thing I've got to always say this, one thing I never advocate is the killing of another human being. I don't care who they are. I don't want the houses killing the Igbos, and I don't want Igbos killing the houses.
You don't benefit from it.
But make it clear that if you infiltrate here, then the consequences. Just make that clear. Just don't come here. If you understand that and you choose to come to raid the land and kill our people, well, this is what is happening. The people are not taking it. That's number one. Then the government, secondly, must do something to create opportunities for everyone, not just the Hausas, not just the Yorubas, not just the Igbos, but for everyone. If you're talking about unifying Nigeria, then everybody must have a stake, all right? And everybody must understand that the country is our collective responsibility. We have a responsibility as all ethnic groups to build up Nigeria. We're not going to be able to do that by fighting each other, killing each other, and all that. So that's important, okay? We cannot grow as a country if we're so divided. But I think that each part of Nigeria should certainly take responsibility for its own growth. But the federal government must yield its support. You understand? Not just to one group, but to all of Nigeria. That must be their responsibility. It's in the Constitution of Nigeria. You've got a responsibility to all of Nigeria, not just a few. That must be your charge. And then you see, if the federal government would make sure that all Nigerians benefit, it will not be amazing to us if all of us now choose to use everything within our power to make Nigeria great. But if you're not giving us all these opportunities, then, people are angry, people will react, people take matters into their own hands. And I just want to end, for my content, I just want to end with this. It is okay for you to believe whatever you believe spiritually. Have faith in what you believe in. But if there's any aspect of your faith that tells you to kill, take another life, then that religion is not working. Any religion that tells you to go out in the name of your God, whatever that name is, to go and take a life, that is not a religion anymore. That becomes part of, may I use the word, colonization of the mind. And you want people to come to your part and at the expense of their own. I think that until Nigeria follows its constitution and serves all of its citizens, these skirmishes will continue to happen, and nobody will sit around and watch their own demise. People will react. For every action, there is a reaction. What we're seeing that is happening to the Fulanis is a reaction based on their activities. You see, so Nigeria must, if the Fulanis are hurting up north, help them up north. Don't encourage them to come down south, because the people down south are going to protect themselves. We've watched it over and over, all the killings. How much longer do you expect people to sit back and watch? So Nigeria is right now an experiment that must have some leadership, because if it doesn't, it will become a failed state. Please give your conclusion.
Absolutely. It is said that any religion that doesn't preach love and live love is no religion at all.
That's right.
Right? All this Christianity in Africa, Islam in Africa, and all that stuff. you're just building a castle on sand.
On sand.
So you cannot be shocked if there's no sense of nationalism. As we say in Nkoro,
That's right. That's right.
You're dancing up north, you dancing down south, you dancing in the west. There's nothing that you find yourself within yourself that says, I have something in common with my neighbor. And
Yes.
because of what we have in common, it makes sense for us to function together as a whole.
That's right.
Right? You have a constitution. First of all, you cannot have a constitution for a country that says that you have to cycle the leadership. Because what happens is once that leadership gets to the greedy tribe, they will not let go. Particularly if the modus operandi is to dominate you. Right?
Yes.
As I mentioned earlier, my constitution must be ratified or rewritten that as an Igbo man, I can run for governor in Sokoto. And my tribe, my religious affiliation will have nothing to do with my qualification.
That's right.
To be governor and do for the people of Sokoto as an Igbo man. I'm doing it for the people of Sokoto because that's my state.
Yes.
I'm not doing it for Igbo because I'm an Igbo person. So I cannot run for governor in Sokoto. And then I said that I'm a Nigerian. Imagine in America, if you're from Arkansas and you cannot run for governor in New York after living there for 10 years. Hillary Clinton is governor in New York. Where's she from? Ain't she from Arkansas?
That's right.
Yeah, you have to have a country where it doesn't matter where you come from. Depending on where you live, once you satisfy the criteria for leadership, you can run for office in that local area and be just as, your chances of winning will just be as good as anybody else. Nigeria has a problem of leadership. Our problem is not Boko Haram. Our problem is not Fulani Herdsmen. If you have a fever, your fever is a symptom of a larger problem. We have a problem of leadership in Nigeria.
That's right.
We have a problem of leadership that does not promote a sense of nationalism because they're too busy being tribal.
That's right.
And what do I mean by being tribal? I'm Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, or I'm Christian, Muslim, or whatever. There is nothing in the experiment called Nigeria that tells a Yoruba person that they're just as important as an Hausa man.
That's right.
Or that an Igbo man is just as important in that country as a Yoruba. We have a failure of leadership that does not think that it's important to uphold the law. You have a country that is lawless.
And I think part of the problem in leadership is also this notion that the Igbos have the right to rule this time, or the Hausas have the chance to rule.
I mean, that's nonsense.
Let the best man or best woman win. Don't attach tribalism to it.
Exactly.
Because we're if you're looking for one Nigeria, then it doesn't matter where anybody comes from. Let the best person win.
Yeah, we have a flawed constitution, right? Like I said again.
Is that in the constitution?
Yeah, it's in the constitution. It's part of Nigeria, the cycle of leadership.
No, but that's the problem. That's the problem right there.
There's a problem with the constitution. There's a problem with the leadership. Corruption, all that stuff corruption is a symptom, right?
Yes.
Fulani Herdsmen is a symptom. The
of a bigger problem.
That problem stems from leadership that is running based on a flawed constitution.
So I just want to stress that again. Let the best man or woman run. It doesn't matter if they are from Igbo land or Hausa or
matter.
But if you don't put it in the minds of the people that they should be looking for the best person, then you have a tribal group who fight for their own person to win regardless if they can meet the challenge of the times.
Yeah, and there's always going to be a tribe that is going to feel marginalized. Nigerian politics, even before the war started and during the war, was about these alliances between two tribes to marginalize one tribe so that they could dominate the other tribe. It's been that way since Nigeria was put together.
And it fails. It fails all the time. It fails all the time.
To fail. So until we address the Nigerian leadership, which is anchored by the Nigerian constitution, until we have a government where the old Nigerian national anthem says, though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. It's never been that way since the war ended. It continues to be a bone of contention today. Tribes and tongues makes a difference in Nigeria, and that is terrible. We need to have leadership that is able to articulate, according to you, the collective frustrations of the people. Once we have a government that is able to articulate the collective frustration of the people and create the infrastructure and an environment that is conducive for economic development, we're going to continue to have the problem that we're having, the violence that we're having. You can forget about one Nigeria. The only way to now mitigate that would be to split it into three. And we don't want that.
Nigeria is known all over the world as the superpower of Africa. And it's got the mineral resources. And I've got to tell you the truth. The heart of the people, Nigerian people, are some of the nicest human beings you want to meet. Really, truly. I've taken people to Nigeria over and over. And the one thing they always talk about is how kind the people are. We are kind. We're very spiritual people. We are kind. We are understanding of each other. We uplift each other as much as possible. When we focus on not on our differences, but on our oneness. People they said you are known by how you treat a stranger. That's what defines who you are. That is our character. That is our spirit. That's why when strangers come to our land, they feel so welcome. They can't even believe the spirit of the people. So all of this is not our character. We are not warring people. This whole experiment that we have leaders who are really, quite frankly, as you stated earlier, are causing us to have this fight. It isn't really our people trying to do this. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, I mean, absolutely. I mentioned about Boko Haram and all that, how the whole thing started. And it started with the idea or the truth, that the government is corrupt and, they felt marginalized. They weren't getting the kind of economic, development or opportunities, in the North and also in Nigeria in general. That's how this whole thing started. And the next thing you know, because of the poor response of the Nigerian government, we have Boko Haram. Boko Haram, the way it's constructed today, is a product of the ineptitude of the federal government response in trying to understand what their complaints are and then figuring out how to deal with it in a peaceful way, as opposed to just saying, we're just going to go in there, blow everybody up. Hey, you get these people upset, you end up with people like Boko Haram. And now this same marginalization is now fueling, some serious dissension in the Southeast. Now we have our own security network. How far are we going to go with that? What's the next step? What's the next move? How do you stop a people who are trying to protect themselves from protecting themselves? The only way you're going to do it is now by coming there with force. My gun is bigger than your gun. Now you got civil war. But they're not going to lay back. They are not. They're just not going to lay back. Those people in the West are not going to lay back. They've now decided to take the matter into their own hands and protect themselves. Nobody wants to see their women raped. Nobody wants to see their children killed. Nobody wants to see their husband murdered. People need to go to the farm. They can't go to the farm anymore. They are home. You have COVID issues. We're afraid of COVID. We're afraid of Fulani herdsmen. People are at home. They are starving. They need the federal government of Nigeria to, how do we say, man up and make a decision. Is this a national crisis, or is it just a problem with those people that are being subjected to these kinds of violence? Because I'm over there in Asor Rock, I'm high up in the government. This thing does not affect me. So what the hell do I care? My children are living in Europe. They're going to the best universities. The money that I'm supposed to use to take care of the economic issues that is facing my people is in my pocket. I have opportunity to create a haven for my own family. Damn those people down there. What do I care about? I don't care about them. That's what's going on here. The leadership in Nigeria is so fat with our money, they don't care if Nigeria goes to hell. They will get on the next plane. They all own mansions in Europe, in Britain. They will leave the country, come to the United States, and that's it.
This is what happens. I just want to reiterate this. You are so right. This is what happens when people take law into their own hands, right? Tribalism sets in seriously. The other Nigerians become the enemies. You know, instead, you understand what I'm saying? We cannot afford to see Nigerians as enemies. We have this is if this experiment is going to work, then we need to see each other as fellow Nigerians. This is unfortunate, but this is what happens when people have no choice. When you don't give them a choice, you know, or they feel that they don't have that they don't matter anymore, or their voice is not being heard. When they take it into their hands, you start these things, the burning, you know, the killings and all that sort of thing. Now, this, I've got to be honest, I'm sure there are people who are disturbed and annoyed and are angry about this. But if you don't see it, sometimes, you know, it goes right over your head because you're living in the luxury of the United States or England or wherever. But this is the reality of our people in Nigeria at this time in the villages, at the hands of Boko Haram, at the hands of the Hausa herdsmen. And then, of course, the people are taking matters into their own hands and all holds, not what they call it, all with all holds barred.
Yeah, let me say something right quick. This is very important.
Yeah.
With this kind of desecration and instability, for those of us that live abroad, with all the expertise, right, that is needed to develop Nigeria.
That's right.
How does this environment create an incentive for me and you to go back to Nigeria and help develop her?
That's the point.
You see? So
that's the problem.
The brain drain is continuous. And one of the reasons why the brain drain is continuous, one of the reasons why the expertise needed to develop that country is lacking, living abroad and developing other countries, is because we have not fostered the right environment, just like Israel did in Israel, that allowed Jews from outside to come to Israel and help to develop it. We need to be able to go back home and develop Africa, develop Nigeria, but we cannot do it with the instability that is going on right now.
This is not Nigeria. This is not Nigeria. I now want to make this clear. This is not us. No. This is neglect of us. Our government need to stop neglecting us. This is serious, and our people need to stand up and say no. Stop going in the streets and fighting for Donald Trump and all those other leaders. Fight for your own people. Fight for your own people. What's important right now is, what are we doing? Us.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we willing to do? There was a gentleman a philanthropist who we just lost recently to the Fulani herdsmen.
Yeah.
You know, wonderful man. I know him. He's a part of an organization, Nigerian in diaspora organization, and he goes home all the time, and he always taking care of people, feeding them, giving them, you know, all sorts of things. Such a gentleman, such a wonderful human being, you know, to be taken, kidnapped and taken, and this happens to him. That cannot continue. We Nigerians, we love Nigeria. I don't want us to misunderstand what's going on here. We love Nigeria. I want to go home. I want to go home. I still believe in home. I still believe in Nigeria. I believe in the people of Nigeria. I believe in all the possibilities in Nigeria. But I cannot be quiet and wait for somebody to do something. Sometimes even just having a conversation and talking about, okay, this is our reality. Well, what are we going to do now? Are we just going to sit back and talk about it and say, well, you know, we're not there? No, we have to have this conversation. We have to come up with, we have to engage the experts. There are lots of Zoom meetings going on all over the place just to discuss this. One of them I'm going to participate on the 20th. You know, well, two actually. There are two events going on the 20th to talk about this. You know, so it's good that we're talking about it. More people should be talking about it. Can't turn your back on this. You can't, you know, but I don't want people to think that just because of what's going on that Nigeria is totally bad. No. This is because I'm gonna tell you very honestly, Dibia, what's going on in America is sad too. You know, I mean, it is crazy out here. It's crazy out here. And for those of us who are in Nigeria, don't think it's all good over here, because it's not. It's crazy. You saw what happened at the Capitol. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know, people died. You know, that was the United States of America. You know, so this is going on in all parts of the world, but we can't turn our backs on what's going on in our world.
Yes.
You know, we've got to talk about it, even if it doesn't look pretty. Even though, oh, you don't want to see all those pictures. Oh, yes, you do. Because the only way you can react, you can't ignore it. Yeah. You can't ignore it. We have to, all of us, wherever we are, either we're in America or in England or in Nigeria, wherever we are, this is not Nigeria. It's not acceptable. Our government, we must demand that our government take action. And that's why I applaud this gentleman who went, this senator. I applaud him. And if you don't mind, I just want to play what he said again, just so we are reminded.
That are taking all these cattle away. They are doing it as a business. The deputy senior leader for bringing.
I'm just going to take it to one point that he made a point that I want to emphasize.
Mr. President, like my colleagues have said, we have a national crisis on our hands.
There it is right there. That's the point. We have a national crisis. We cannot ignore it. We as Africans, we as Nigerians, we cannot ignore it. We cannot say it's somebody's responsibility. It is our responsibility. When you sing the anthem of Nigeria, are you paying attention to what it's saying? Or you just singing? You have a responsibility to Nigeria. We all do. Just as Americans who don't like what they see, they are speaking up. They went to the polls. This time, Dibia, here's my thing. Whoever is running for office this time, whoever that is, I don't know. We must make sure that they have the interest of Nigeria at heart. All of Nigeria, not their tribe, whoever that may be, because Nigeria cannot survive under the banner of one tribe.
It can't. And this really important. I'm sorry, Dibia, very important. I pray that the next leadership in Nigeria will make it a point that history must be reinstated in schools in Nigeria to teach about African history, and more specifically, just like in America, the United States, they teach about the United States, the Civil War. We need to teach about the Nigerian Civil War in schools in Nigeria so that we could have a sense of reconciliation.
Absolutely.
We need to know what happened so that we could reconcile our differences.
That's right.
And I'm telling you, until we start to teach history in our schools and specifically make sure that the Nigerian Biafran Civil War is taught in schools, we will never be able to have a national reconciliation, because we must understand what happened, who did what, who didn't do this. We cannot let propaganda dictate
Right.
the history and
That's
set
right.
the standards in terms of who's to blame for this.
That's right.
We all are to blame. We all played a role. It is important that we understand the role that each major tribe, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo in Nigeria played in that civil war.
That's right.
Once we're able to do that, then perhaps we'll start getting a sense of self and
That's
national
right. That's right.
conciliation.
That's right. We are one. You know what? I mean, they are all voices. There are other voices that say, oh, Nigeria should separate and all of that. Well, it is not really up to the Nigerians themselves to separate. It is up to the government. If you don't get your act together, then there'll be the push for separation.
Yeah.
But do we need separation? Do we really need it? I'm on the fence on that. You know, my thing is that Nigeria should figure out how to live together.
I'm on the fence because I'm on the fence on that, like you said, because every part of our Nigeria has inept leadership. And until they establish some sense of leadership, we need to stay together and try to figure this out.
We've got to try and figure it out, because if we don't have any part of Nigeria that is doing exceptionally well, when you divide us, we'll still be struggling. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not sure which state is going to just be a prime state without issues. You know what I'm saying? And the resources is all over Nigeria. We need to share the resources, but it's just very important that we understand that Nigeria needs all of us. Every tribe is important. Every tribe has something to offer. We were not a country before. The British did that. Okay, all right. So here you are. Now, what are you going to do about that? You're not going to talk about what other people did, what they did to us. Now it's up to us to make it work or not make it not work. If it's not going to work, then the government that we elected should tell us, I'm sorry, we can't work together. Everybody, go your way. Do you understand? Then if we go our way, it becomes our responsibility for whatever part of Nigeria we represent that we make it work. But if it's not going to be that way, then we must work together. The government has that responsibility to teach us, like you said, and I agree with you 100%. We have got to do a reconciliation. We have got to see what happened in the war. How can we prevent that so that we don't fall into this war again? All these people who are thirsting for war, many of them have not experienced it. It is not a good alternative.
No, it's not.
It is not, because ultimately there's always going to be the winner and the loser. So it doesn't solve anything. The winner takes the spoils, and the loser
gets marginalized.
Is marginalized. So that's not, you understand what I'm saying? So the war is not a good option. You know, I feel sorry for all those the families that have lost people. You know, I feel sorry for the families here who have lost people in Nigeria. We're all certainly very anxious. I know I'm very anxious about what's going on in Nigeria because I've got family there. Everybody's anxious. What do we do? How do we protect our people? It shouldn't be that way. The war is not a good thing. So the government, and it becomes our responsibility. Do you realize you can write to the government? We can all write to them. Now, I don't know that they'll listen to you, but the point of the matter, even if it makes you feel good that you're doing something, you can write to all the different ministries and voice your concerns about what's going on and how they must interject and make sure that war does not break out in Nigeria. It's not a good option, because all you're going to have is a whole sea of dead bodies everywhere. To what end? To what end? So war is not a good option. We cannot advocate for it. We must protect our different lands. Certainly, if you look in the United States, the different states, they have their own protection for their states, and yet they still have the federal government. So there's nothing wrong with you having protection, you know, for your state. There's nothing wrong with that. But we cannot get into this slippery slope of killing each other. It's not going to result in it. This is not what, no matter what your religion is, And sometimes we got to let spirituality step in. Madubuchibea, that's what we say. We're God to each other. When you kill another fellow human being, you harm an aspect of Chineke that you need for your own good. We are the temples, all of us. So to kill each other, quite frankly, we don't believe in what we call God. We don't. We're just talking. When you take a human life out of anger, then you cannot talk about the fact that you believe in the Creator. You believe in divine mind. So anyway, we this show is supposed to be an hour and a half. Chism Live is always an hour and a half, and it's certainly we're very grateful for all of you who tune in. And Dibia Ochoaja, you're always an instrument of learning, and it's always important to us when you are on this show. And I just want to take a moment and read some of the comments that we received. Nosferatu says we cannot turn a blind eye to this. That is true. And she also says here, let me see. She says that I want to go back home and build a business, but this is a deterrent. Don't let this deter you. We're going to work it out, but it's going to have to be all of us. We can't step back from Nigeria. Nigeria is a powerhouse. We cannot let it go up in cake or fire. No. We are going to continue to push the government to do the right thing. Upuna Chao says that this is a bad thing. Yes, it's very bad. It's very bad that we cannot sit back and not do something. Each one of us can play a role. Write letters. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to take to the streets to do anything, advocate for your own, not for a foreign entity. Okay? You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, we read what Humphrey Ndibe said. So the Chism says that the government must take the threat, say treat, but it's actually a threat, seriously. There's no room for hesitation. It is spiraling out of control. And when something spirals out of control, you can't blame yourself, anybody but you. Somebody here, this is Nosferatu. If people feel that they have no support in protecting their people, they will take their own action. We've talked about that. That is true. That is true. So it is imperative, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, that you become a part of it. Don't sit back and just talk about it. Write. We can all have a writing campaign. We have access to our senators, just like that gentleman was talking to the Senate president. We can also write. A matter of fact, you go online today, and you find that you can actually write to the governors. You can write to the senators. You can write to the state houses. You can do a lot more than just talking about it. So it is time, my brothers and sisters, let's let the spirit of Chineke or Olodumare, Damona, whatever you call Chineke, please let us take a moment and take responsibility for rebuilding Nigeria. It is a powerhouse. We can't let it go up in smoke. We can't do that, because I'm telling you, where Nigeria goes, so goes Africa. So we can't let Nigeria fall apart. Thank you, my dear brothers and sisters, for joining us. Ahmed Ibrahim, Kafani Kwame Anu, thank you. Kuna Charles, Elisha Samilia, Kenneth Lip, Kenneth II, Shamsi Rainas, Husani, Mustafa, Sadiq, let's see, Sadiq, I didn't quite get it, Ahmed, and some other individuals. I can't call everybody. And of course, Dibia Ochoaja.
Okay, man.
On your Hajuni. We talked about it. About it. Now we got to go do something about it. Thank you, everyone. We got a wonderful show for you next week. I'm going to announce it, not today, but I'm going to announce it later. Thank you all. Have a blessed day. May Chineke be in front of you, behind you, beside you, above you. Let the ancestors wrap their arms around you. You are perfect the way you are, and we love you, and we encourage you to join us next week. Thank you.
All right.
Let's see.